All right, guys, welcome into another workshop. Today is July 27th, and very happy to be back. Today, we're going to be talking about procrastination. Big issue that a lot of people deal with. A lot of creatives deal with it. I've obviously dealt with it myself from time to time, but luckily for me, I've found a good amount of ways to kind of avoid procrastination or at least kind of minimize it. And today I kind of want to talk about a little bit of my experience, but also go through this list here, this article from Abbey Road Institute, and it's 7 tips to stop procrastination as a music maker. And it's only a few years old. It was published in 2023. And yeah, I think it's all very relevant. And just like I did a couple weeks ago with the article that we went over, I'm going to just cover the points and like I said, give a little bit of my takes based on my experience. And then you guys can kind of interpret it however you want. And then obviously dive deep as you want to go with this, because I'm going to leave the link in the description of the video as well. So it will be all yours to go over. And then I'll let you guys know what other article I found too. But I think this one is the one that has pretty much everything I want to cover. To start off, the first point that they're making here is to know yourself. The first thing we need to do to avoid procrastination is to look at ourselves. What does the task at hand make you feel? Why are you putting it off? How is procrastination helping you to cope with this feeling? While these are hard questions to answer, getting them out of your system by writing them down or saying them out loud will help you recognize the problem and find solutions for it. But it can also make us feel anxious or bad about doing it. And then it says leads to step 2. I've always been a firm believer that knowing yourself, just in general as a person, is the most important thing you can do. I think a lot of people never even try to find those answers or even ask the questions to find the answers within themselves. I think everybody's always looking for other people to kind of be their fulfillment or the answer. And I've always tried to look inward, especially the older I've gotten, the more I've just been confident with who I am and the ability to figure things out on my own as much as possible. Obviously, if you need help, seek help. Don't be afraid to ask for help. But if it's something you can do yourself or figure out yourself, you should do it. And the way to do that is to start asking yourself those questions. So as it comes to procrastination, I think when you put things off, you don't have anyone else to blame but yourself. And that's a big reason why people procrastinate, right? Because they'll never look inward. They'll never look at themselves as the problem. They will always point the finger at some other situation or some other person is the reason why they haven't got things done. They'll blame all kinds of different things. I'm sure that you guys have known people like this, or, maybe you were one of these people at one point, and hopefully you're not anymore. But maybe if you're watching the video, maybe you are. Maybe you're trying to figure out how to not do that. But for me, I think being comfortable with who I am and figuring out more of who I am, which is always a work in progress, that has really helped me to find whatever plan it is I need to create and stick with that. It could be for an album rollout, which is actually what I'm doing right now. I'm really in the thick of an album rollout. It's coming really soon. And so I'm trying to figure out, like, what is that plan going to look like? But I've been planting the seeds for months. And so I feel very prepared for what's happening. And I just now started to kind of get the wheels turning on that plan, putting that in motion over the last couple of days. So I'm like right in the thick of it right now. But if I hadn't done that planning, if I waited, procrastinated on the idea, and if I wasn't confident in my ability to execute the plan, I think I would have I would still be waiting. I still would feel unprepared. And I've done that in the past where, I didn't have a solid plan. I was kind of just flying by the seat of my pants or just guessing, and things just weren't working out. Um, but work ethic, things like that, you develop those skills, and then I think you get the hang of just figuring out how to do those things, create those plans, and just execute them to the highest level and the most of your capabilities at each step, each stage of your life. But that's a good example for me. And it says, like, at the end there, it says, it leads into number two, which is to be kind to yourself. And these go hand in hand. It says, you don't need to be hard on yourself just because you know you are procrastinating. In fact, you need to do the opposite. Treat yourself with kindness, love, and understanding, same way you will do with a friend that is feeling down. Don't be ashamed. You should be proud of having identified your tribulations, the reasons behind your procrastination, and everything you have accomplished on your journey. Now it's time to take action. And yeah, I mean, be your best friend, be your own best friend, because at the end of the day, as tough as it is, you are all you got. You can have friends, family, doesn't really matter. People come and go. People aren't here forever. None of us are here forever. So, as long as you're here, there's a chance to do something great. There's a chance to change for the better. That's the way that I maneuver through life. And I've seen nothing but good things come from that. So, you have to give yourself grace, and life in general. I've had a lot of these thoughts recently too. Life in general is just very difficult, for everybody, especially now, with the state of the world, how messed up things are. Like, I feel like people want you to be hard on yourself and not like yourself and not love yourself. But if you can find ways to avoid that noise, and again, well, that's why it goes hand in hand with knowing yourself, because the only way to love yourself is to know yourself. So, doing those two things, and you notice how neither one of these things really has anything to do with music. So, I love how this is why I love these points, because they're starting off with most of these points in general are life related points. They don't have anything to do with music, but you'll see the ways that they start to positively affect your creative itch and just your creative planning overall. But these are just fundamental basics of, I think, being human in general. Number three is the bigger picture. Maybe you need to finish that song on your hard drive to complete the album, or fill out the form you've been avoiding to get the funding for your recording. Stepping back a bit and looking at why you need to do the task you are avoiding and focusing on the final objective will help you jump into action. Getting it done will bring you closer to what you want to achieve. I don't know if I've mentioned this in recent weeks, or I don't know, any other workshop, but a big idea or big thought that I've been having recently too is like, if I have the chance to get the task done even before I have it set, like I will always write it down. I'll put it in my calendar. I'll say, this is the date, even sometimes the time of when I'm going to do this task. But honestly, I've been finding ways, if I have free time and I got nothing going on and I feel like I want to get something done, I'll just do the task. Even if it's like a week early. I just did this yesterday, actually. I filmed a behind the beat video that isn't going to be out until September. And I wasn't going to even film it until August. I usually film them about a month in advance. But I got the need. I was like, you know what? Like, I'm going to be on a trip next month. I'm not going to have as much time to film. And instead of doing that to myself, where I'm trying to force everything into one day or get everything done all at once, like right before it's supposed to drop, let me just do it now, get it done with. And it's done. So now I have the peace of mind of saying, that's done, that's taken care of. I don't have to worry about the next one for now 2 months instead of a month, because now I'm even more ahead. So it's like, that's the way I view it, especially with like content and things like that, is give yourself the peace of mind of having it done as early as possible. That way you can focus on other things like music and stuff, but everything in your life will kind of start making more sense because that pressure and that weight on that you feel on your shoulders is going to be lifted, and then you can deal with whatever else life is throwing at you, which is probably a lot of BS. Because believe me, I know things that we don't want to do, things that we have to do, that sort of thing. It's like the last thing I want, or that any of you guys should want, is to feel weighed down by the stuff that's supposed to be more enjoyable. So that's why I plan things ahead so far. And that's what this is talking about, is the bigger picture. To me, the bigger picture is usually a year from now, 2 years from now. I'm already looking at 2029, 2030. I'm kind of already there mentally in my mind of like, what are these goals I have? How am I going to execute them? Who are the people I need to bring on board to help get these ideas accomplished? Things like that. Just getting it there, starting to write it down, and then carry it out ASAP. Because the more that you just sit with the thought and you don't execute and you don't put that into action, nothing will happen. Number four is break it down. Don't try to do all the tasks at once. Sometimes we block because the thing we need to do feels too big to accomplish in one go. Breaking it into smaller pieces will help to make it less intimidating and easier to complete. Divide the task into steps and do one at a time at the pace you feel comfortable. It's frequently stated these days that multitasking is a myth. To do your best and deepest work, focus on one task at a time. And this can be broken down day to day, week to week, month to month. A lot of what I've been doing recently is day to day planning. So obviously I have my to-do list for the day. Usually includes content that needs posted, videos that might need filmed, people that might need reached out to, like DMs, emails. Those are usually everyday tasks, but then there's other things that need to be put in that space too. So I've been kind of experimenting with like what works best. So the last couple weeks I've done hour, like I'll pick two tasks, let's say two of the more important ones for the day. I spend an hour on the one, hour on the next one, and then alternate every hour. And I usually either set a timer or I just keep an eye on the clock of like, okay, it's been an hour, shift back. So it's kind of like little exercises to see how it goes. It's been going pretty well so far. But this is one of those things where it's a case by case basis. There is no right or wrong way to do any of this. This is, you have to figure out what works for you and what is going to make the most sense for you day to day, week to week, month to month, year to year. It's always going to change. You're always going to have to adjust it. There's never going to be a point where you're 100% comfortable with what you're doing. And like I said earlier about how life kind of just throws us curveballs all the time, you have to account for that too, because your perfect schedule that you find might get a big curveball thrown at it, and then you have to adjust again. So that's one of those things it's a pain, because you're never really going to figure it out. Honestly, you're going to get to the points where you feel good about it, and you're going to be forced to shift again. But that's just life. That's one of those things where if you want to do this and get good at it, you just have to start practicing ways to do that. But at this, point in time, that is the method I'm using, is hour by hour, at least for certain tasks. I'll usually pick a couple, switch every hour, and it's been working pretty good. I think it just kind of depends on what it is. I'm picking things that are simple though, like, send emails for an hour and then go write social media copy for the next hour, and then switch back, like, content, and then emails, things like little simple tasks, nothing that's like super huge. Obviously, if you're doing bigger videos, things like that, things that need filmed or whatever, you might have to block out a few more hours or even a day or whatever. But we've talked about that stuff before on previous workshops, mostly with the social media stuff, where it's like, just plan it. Just know exactly when you're going to film that thing or what you're going to do, and write it down, put it in your calendar. And that's a great way to hold yourself accountable. Real quick water break. All right. So, number five is time management tools. There are plenty of apps and websites that help you organize your day, to do lists, calendars, Pomodoro, I think it's Pomodoro, maybe, apps, reminders, or even just the classic pen and notebook, whatever works for you. While these are not essential to get through procrastination, once you set up your own system, you can always rely on it to check your schedule, tasks to be completed. The most important part is not to look at it as a constant reminder of uncompleted work. Keep it flexible and always keep the focus on what you want to achieve. And we've discussed this many times. I've been discussing it throughout this whole thing so far. Just whatever makes sense. I still use the Notes app on iPhone a lot for most of my planning, and then just my calendar on my phone, as well as the whiteboard that I have off to the side here in my room, which is mostly for big projects, like actual music projects. That's what I've always used. I've used it for almost 10 years now, which is pretty crazy. I've had it for quite a while. But just different examples of ways to do it. But if you are, pen and paper person, by all means. I mean, there's power in writing things down. Even just feeling yourself write the words is a big thing. Number six, avoid temptations. Nowadays, most of the music work is done with a computer, tablet, or phone at hand. Whether it is to record some ideas, produce or write songs, or collaborate with others remotely, computers have turned into one of the main tools for creation. Not only that, but also the internet with almost infinite resources of information, virtual instruments, plugins, and ways to collaborate with other artists around the world. It is a big part of our work in the music business, but as we all know, the internet is dark and full of distractions. It's the black box of procrastination. There is nothing easier than opening a new tab on your browser or your favorite social media platform or app and getting lost in scrolling or watching videos of cats. Yeah, which we all know. I'll read the rest here. Before this happens, try to remove distractions while you are working. Put your phone away so it's nowhere near. Turn notifications off. Put on Do Not Disturb or turn your data or Wi Fi off for whilst you work. Disconnecting for specific periods of time and placing obstacles between ourselves and our temptations, whatever they are, will help you get in the zone and get things done. And I was going to say, we are in the worst era of social media 100%. I mean, the algorithms on pretty much every platform is just the worst it's ever been. We're all seeing content that we don't even want to see. And even if we tell the platforms we don't want to see it, they're still going to show it to us anyway. So I don't have answers for that other than your willpower has to outweigh whatever it is they're trying to show you. That's really all I can say about that. Very much sucks. I do miss, I don't want to sound old, but I miss when Instagram was just posting photos with a shitty filter on it, to be honest, because that was the time where you could connect with people for real. You could build a real following, and you saw the content you wanted to see, period. I never saw anything I didn't want to see. It was not video based, it was just different. Um, and I know I'm not alone in that feeling, but that's just me. That's just me on my soapbox, whatever. But I say all that to say just you have to develop some type of willpower. A good example for myself is TikTok. I never use TikTok hardly at all. I get on there to post, and I'm not even posting on there every day. I get on there, post probably 2 or 3 times a week, if that, and then I immediately get off. I don't even scroll on the timeline hardly at all. I'd say I don't even spend an hour a day on that platform. It just doesn't get open because I know that it is one of the worst platforms for procrastination, for just destroying your time, really just distracting you in general. And I'm just not going to be a part of it in that way. Like, I know I need to be on there for the purpose of discoverability and things like that, but for the most part, I'm just trying not to be on there. And Instagram's no different now. I mean, Instagram kind of adopted the ways of TikTok and where they made it in that same format. And so is all these other platforms. They really realized that TikTok kind of hit a gold mine for engagement. And so they all kind of copied the same formula. And it's just like, man, and Instagram, I do struggle a little bit sometimes because I'm on that platform the most. And that's where most of my following is. But even that, I just have to put it to the side. I turn all alerts off for everything. I mean, I don't have any, even here on YouTube, I don't have my YouTube creators notifications on. I have none of that's on because it just gets you wanting to go there. And then you realize it's like half the time you're going there, it's just to see if someone liked something or engaged in something. Like there's really nothing happening there at all. Um, so I try to limit that as much as possible too, but we all fall victim to it. I mean, if you just start scrolling, one thing leads to another. And again, the way it works now is that they'll notice you're watching these videos and they'll keep feeding you more and more and more. So you just keep watching. So it's very dangerous, slippery slope that we're on for everybody. I don't care if you're young or old. I don't think any of it's healthy. I don't think any of it's cool. Um, it just sucks, man. But I don't think there's any going back now. I think we are kind of where we are, but I think just developing willpower, turning off notifications, limiting screen time, go outside and walk. Like, if you think that you're just going to be doom scrolling constantly or you catch yourself doing it, put the phone to the side and just step away. Figure like be self-aware because so many people are not self-aware and they're just we know people like this in our day-to-day lives, and these people don't even make content. These are just consumers that are just consuming mindless nonsense. Like half of it's not even content, but that's another discussion for another day. But that's my advice. That's what I do. um, we just got to try to limit it as much as possible. And finally, the seventh step to avoiding procrastination is with a little help from friends. Finally, you might know all these things, put them into practice, and need outside input to keep consistent and not lose focus. That's okay. Finding a coach, mentor, or trustworthy friend to talk about your worries and blocks will allow you to see them through different lenses and encourage you to keep going. Look for people that have been in your shoes or with similar problems and ask their opinions and help. There is nothing wrong with asking for help, what I said at the beginning. In fact, it will make the journey easier, and perhaps you can reciprocate. That could be today or further down the line as your career progresses. And that's accountability partners. That's another word for it. People that will hold you directly accountable for your actions, whatever that might be. But yeah, I think procrastination's a good one because um, the voice in our heads can help us a lot, but sometimes people need to hear it from someone else. It can just do a little bit more to kind of give the person that reassurance. So yeah, I think that that's a totally fair point right there. And then it says, we hope we have given you some guidance and ideas to increase your productivity by avoiding procrastination and feeling good about your work. Now stop scrolling and go make music. Great article. Shout out to the Abbey Road Institute. I don't think I've checked out any of their other articles, but great one right there. I think it's relevant. I think it's going to stay relevant, even though it's was written a few years ago. But yeah, I hope you guys definitely took some notes from this, and it'll be in the link of the description of the video. So dive into all of it, check it out, check out more of their work. And the other article that I had here was, let me see what this is, musicsoftwaretraining.com. This is music making, procrastination, and motivation. And this is kind of from a different perspective, but this one gives a bit of some different points. Because kind of similar points, there's crossover, but there's some different things like the 5 minute rule, which I think is pretty cool. So definitely dive into this one too, if you want more advanced stuff. And I always try to give like producer specific stuff from time to time because that's what I do. So this is a good example of that as well. But yeah, as always, thank you guys for watching. Hopefully, back in a couple weeks again with another new one. Very exciting stuff on the horizon. But as always, thank you guys for tuning in. Stay safe, stay positive out there. Let me know in the comments too. Have you dealt with procrastination? Have you not dealt with it? What are some ways that you know to get through it that you've done or know from other people? Let me know in the comments though. But stay safe, stay positive out there. See you guys next time. Till then, take care.